Hello, guys. Welcome to one more episode of Family Business Talk. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Joana Paias, and I'm here with my colleague Francisco Tomásio. We're very looking forward to this interview. Joana is the co-owner and manager of Loja de Camper, a family business that has been going on for over 100 years. And we're very proud to have her personality here, to have her experience, and we're really looking forward to listen a little bit to your background. Joana, how are you doing?
Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to talk about my business, about my family, and to help you guys in this project that you have.
It's our pleasure to have you here. For our listeners, can you briefly explain your journey within the company and the company's history?
Of course. So, I started as a student. My parents had loads of business stores. They started with different stores, and I studied myself more in the arts. And I was never a person that thought that I could be a manager or that I would run a company. It was never like my goal or my objective of life. I was more a chill person, a person that liked to study the arts and was more focused in that. After I finished my studies in the arts, my fathers, they didn't have no one to take care of the shops of the company, and to leave it someone to take care of it. So they made a proposition to me. At the time, I thought I have two options. I can go to the market and be a designer or work in those type of or work for a company for a company that works with design or other stuff, and or I can pick up my family business, pick up the company, use the things that I've learned through life, the the tools that I took within all my journey, and use it to make it a better company, to use my creativity, because creativity does not always comes in art. It comes in other things, in managing, in sciences, in all other areas. And I thought that, well, this is maybe an opportunity, and here I have the freedom to do not exactly all I want, but more of what I want. If I would work to another company, I would have to do what they want, their objectives. And I thought it was a good idea. So I started there. I started working with them. I started as an working at the part of the inventory, and then from that I started managing the products, changing the philosophy of the company, changing the values, the approach of the market. And it started that way. With all that journey, I've learned a lot of stuff, mostly from my father, my mother as well. My mother was a very caring person with a very good vision on things, and my father was a negotiator. And with all those tools, I started my journey at the company. And that was it.
So when you say your journey helped you out, you mean your studies in art? Was that a big factor that pushed you into, creating, being part of this business?
Of
Was
course.
that the biggest?
Of course, not maybe not the biggest, because I also worked at the pizzeria for 7 years, and that gave me life experience, dynamics, customer experience, things that are very important always in business, and to talking to other people when you make business. The arts was a key factor for me in terms of conscious visual. You see, that conscious of the visual, of the appearance of the products of the store, because it's very important for a business, for you to call your customers and to keep them there. Okay, and the arts, the arts shows us and teaches us how to tell stories. In our business, we are starting to create stories for people to relate to them, to go inside the business, to buy it, and to not just to be about the business to buy and that trade, to be an experience as well. And that is very important for us. And that's how the arts have shown me a different way and a different approach on the business.
Okay, just to clarify to the audience, what does the shop actually sell or used to sell?
Okay. So before I went to the company, the shop used to sell, for example, products that were 90% manufactured in China. The approach was to sell cheap and to sell more, right? And the product was not of great quality. They were very soulless, very empty of countenance. And for me, that was the type of business, was
Very
a little bit
similar to
more
the
like
other
that.
stores, right?
Exactly, very similar of what is in the market of those type of stores, excluding, of course, some other Portuguese shops who have the same idea and the same approach. And myself, I took some inspiring on some of those projects, but at the time that I went to the company, there was not a lot of that. Okay, all you could see, the main the paradigm was to buy cheap and sell it. Okay, that was the shops, the type of shops that was for souvenirs. Then with our crafts that we have in Portugal, we have what we call the feiras, and people go and buy a lot of crafty stuff. That gave me an idea, a memento to change the paradigm of the company.
Would you say? Would be your advice for people who are in the same situation you were a few years ago, where your vision was different from your father's, and how would they pitch that idea to their parents so that could get their parents to get along with that idea?
The advice, for my personal experience, it won't be easy because you have to change the mentality. Okay, but the biggest advice that I have to tell is never lose your idea, never stop believing it, and believe that it will have success. Okay, if you believe it and you have the confidence, what will happen? Your parents will feel that confidence, and they will feel that when you start, even if you start with small things, because that's how I started, small things, and then you show them that it works. When they see the results, okay, and when they see the cash flowing in, the business working out, more customers coming in, they will see, okay, she was right, this approach works, so let's do it.
You and your father have, like I said, have quite different mentalities.
Yes.
How would you balance that on a day-to-day basis? And who has the final say in like questions where you're both wanting to go different directions?
First of all, it's not easy because um, you always have that shadow that your father or the people that we follow after, they have success, and we have to always have that on our background. So we will have to have a lot of personality and to stay very confident. If you're not a confident person and you let yourself let down and don't trust your guts, it won't be easy. So we always have to trust it. It won't be easy daily, but that's how the only way is never to give up and show your father the results. And that's the only way they will finally sink in, okay, maybe my approach was very good 20 years ago, but now we are living in a different time, a time with new ideas, with some innovation, and we need to see that way. And when those things start to show, my father was always a bit fighting with me, of course, that's normal, but it's just as I tell you, I never gave up. And I was always very confident because my guts always told me this was the way. And when he started seeing that, okay, this works, it's time, even most of the times he never told me, but he started to believe the idea as well. Okay, nowadays he tells that, and he shows that to other people as well, that he believes in our idea, that's the way that the business can keep going successfully.
Because he saw the results.
Exactly,
right?
the results, and he also became more proud of the shop. Okay, the shop, it looks better. The company has more partners. It has more credibility in the market. So all those things, even from a person that has comes from a different time with different experience, starts believing, okay, this is resulting. People talk so great about our shop. Everyone that gets in the shop, congratulations for your shop. It's good to be here. We feel great here because of your products, because of how you guys treat us, of your history as well. And that showed him that he should trust me. And right now, I have the final word to answer your question. It was not always like that, and which is a normal. You have to prove yourself to have the capacity for people to believe that you have the final word. And now that time it is.
Yeah, we want to clarify that it was a huge change because it was, you said 70% of the products came from China.
Yeah, more
and
than that. Yeah,
more or less. And nowadays it's 90% Portuguese
Yeah.
manufactured products.
yeah,
That's one of the reasons why we wanted you here, because that's such a rare thing to find someone that is looking to implement, to express their identity, their native culture identity through your business, through your job. You said you like that when people walk, they sort of feel something. It's an experience, as you said. It's not just one of all the similar stores that you see around in Lisbon. And so it was a huge change. And we want to congratulate you for making that happen. I'm sure it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy. It is a challenge. It will be a bigger challenge. You see, the markets in the world, they are changing each time more. All countries are losing identities, not just in business shops, in family shops, everywhere. It always is a challenge, but it always gives us an advantage for me to see. Where I see a challenge and opportunity, I see also an advantage, because when we are different and when we have an identity, people will look for that. Even if sometimes the main world works on a different way, or the market is working on a different way, there are always people or always markets for what you are showing or what you choose, for example, in our shop.
So how can you tell that a person walks into your store feels like the Portuguese culture? Is it like their expressions? Is it the way they talk about products? They ask questions? What do you think? Where do you see that?
For me, when people show interest, when they ask questions. When they ask questions, they are interested. When they are interested, they, of course, they feel. And they know that we are there. They understand that we are not all Portuguese, the employees, but we all know the culture, okay? And every time they ask questions, they get answers. They feel that we know our history. They feel that we know what we are talking about. If you go to other shops, if you ask them what the Gallagher cells represents, they don't know. If they ask you who was Afonso Henriques, they don't know. If they ask you what a Templar is, they don't know. They confuse all these ideas. Or other things, like the other day, I didn't told you before this, guys, but I discovered the story of Blasha Maria. It's incredible. And
Really?
the Blasha Maria has no whatsoever an origin in Portugal. Is outside. But all of these things, when people go inside, they understand for the questions, for the experience. They feel, and there was once a guy that told me that, and I kept that, and I feel that too. That our shop had a soul, and the soul is not. You cannot duplicate the soul. Soul is unique, okay, and I believe that is one of our main qualities. We are unique and we work in our way, okay? Even if we try to get some references, of course, we do our own stuff, and that works
Do you think your art background influenced the way you manage the shop today, the products you choose to sell, the so-called soul you mentioned of the store?
Yes, definitely. I studied the arts, and the arts gave me perspective. They show me artists. They gave me visual knowledge. It's different than visual conscious as well. It's knowledge, visual knowledge. Know what might be more appealing, less appealing. Obviously, things that have brighter colors, they have better brands. They give more authentic products, and products that are, for example, in the most beautiful products we have are the products that I've made in craft olerias. I don't know how to say that in English. I'm sorry,
They
but
are
olerias.
handcrafted.
Yeah, it's people that work the sand, and they make those things, those structures by hand, and the way they paint it, and the way those things they shine in the shop of course, yeah, the arts background gave me that knowledge and that taste for those type of things. And obviously, people when they see those type of pieces, they are unique, and they, of course, they will have a bigger approach to take them and to buy them, because not only because they are beautiful, because they tell stories. And the arts, as I was telling you earlier, the arts is about creating things that tell stories, and the products in the shop are more appealing if they are more beautiful, of course, but if they tell stories as well, if they tell stories about who makes them, how they make them, and why. So, and that will bring a closeness from the customers to the product as well.
Other topic that I would like to touch on is your employees. It's another big reason why we brought you here. You're not the average, I would say, manager that just looks at the employees as a underling class. How would you say that you approach the way you deal with your employees? What are you looking for in your employees? What is your relation? How does that all work?
So basically, we take the people. Okay, obviously we make interviews. I made a few sometimes, but we give them a chance. We give them a time for them to experience, for we to experience. Most of our employees, they are there for a long time. Okay, we have one or two exceptions that come in and come out, but that's not very common. We have an employee with 8, 9 years, another with 7 years already, another now with 2 and more years. Okay, my approach with them is to initially was very hard to understand how to deal with a lot of people, because it's easier when it's you and your mom and your dad or your cousin, but when then you have different people with different personalities, what will you do? How will you make it work? That was my biggest challenge. So what I was starting to do is to look at people and understand what they were good at, or what they were not so good at, and try to manage a team as making each people working at their best qualities. Whatever they're best at doing is that what we'll do. So the team will be more efficient, okay? And the people that need a bit of help, other people will help them. I'm always there. I call myself someone who's free, who's always like covering the holes. If someone else is needing help in there, I go in there. If someone is needing some help in there, I try to do what they cannot do, and I'm try to be always present as much as I can. And that's how I try to manage the working in the flow work in the company. It has been working much better than before, because at the beginnings we used to have a lot of work, and things wouldn't flow so easy. They would take days of 2, 3 days for us to finish some kinds of objectives of work. Okay, now everything works a little bit more with a little bit better flow, and
Everybody knows
and
what they're
everybody
good at.
knows what they do, and it's not so. I was telling Nadia the other day, it's not so heavy on each person. Okay, because it used to be very heavy. For example, Nadia is one of our best workers, and she used to be everything so heavy for her, because she was one of the with better capacities for doing everything and the most dynamic. And what happens with these people as they start taking a little bit of leadership, okay, and they take all the things to themselves. I do this, I do that. So sometimes the challenge might be in that. But if everyone knows what they do, and if the flow goes, each one doesn't have to do so much, and they don't get to be so much overwhelmed. That's how I feel, and myself as well. So that's how we are working as human resources, to try to as a team, sometimes like sports teams is a little bit like that, for everyone to feel in their positions. It's almost like a strategy, okay, so everything works more with a better flow.
During the recruitment process of hiring a new person, do you like have them shadow another employee, for example, or do you try and coach them, and if they are not the right fit, do you try and adjust, like you initially were hired for this position, but now you may be better at this one?
Usually, we don't, for example, for a store, the positions you have is like managing the products, putting tags. The other positions you can have is reposition. The other ones is staying in
The
the
cashier.
register.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but people, when they get into a shop, they know they will do everything. It's not exactly like when you go to a big company that things are a little bit more, they have departments and stuff. In the shop, it's so dynamic that everyone knows when they get in that they have to do everything, even cleaning. Okay, it's part of the process. But when they get in, yeah, I reassure them that they will get in to make everything. I expect of them to know how to make everything. Obviously, with the process at the start, I see some people are very good with maths, some people are not. Okay, those people will not be so great to be at the register. Okay, they will have more difficulty with those types of stuff, but they for sure will be good for reposition, to rearrange the shop, to put some products arranged as they should, okay, or to put some magnets outside, to put some stuff. Always doing that to manage the warehouse, okay, to put things like organized. There is always work for everyone there. Obviously, when I start to see how they go and how they respond to what we want from them, okay, that's when I start to see how they adjust. Okay, I never fired anyone. I told you guys before, it's still true till this day. I always try not to give up on people. Sometimes it's very hard. Some people are stubborn. People are complicated everywhere. But they all have qualities, okay? If Also, the one thing that I do not accept is dishonesty and all the other stuff that
Makes sense.
are not for sure good for a company. But anywhere else, I always accept. Sometimes what happens is, for example, it happened now, that people don't want to follow this forever. They don't want to work at the shop forever. Though we have a career, okay? Nadia is now one of the most and the best paid employees in the company because she makes a lot of stuff, because she has a lot of competences, and she shows that she wants to work more and to do more stuff, to have more responsibilities, and with that, of course, they win more. But sometimes people want to work in their areas and they leave. But usually, we just try to keep everyone and work as best as they can. If they show me they are honest and responsible and nice people, for me, it's good.
Yeah,
It's the best
it's
price.
great that you mentioned that because we know that you don't pay your employees the average minimum salary. You always look to reward them for
Yeah.
their performances. How do you do that?
So we pay above the minimum wage. We always give prices. We try to pay as best as we can. For example, now we had a very, very hard summer. Hard in ways, hard and good, productive. There was a lot of customers, there was a lot of people. We had to buy a lot of stuff, to sell a lot of stuff. Okay, so I did what I just told you guys that I would do. For example, not I did it before the end of the year. We just did it now. We gave prices to everyone. Okay, so they received a little bit more, even more than what they were receiving. I think that's important. I've been learning that. I did not always did that. But I started at a point to realize that if you want your employees to be happy and to be motivated and productive, you have to give them good conditions. The conditions of the world are also changing. Inflation, everything is getting, mostly in Portugal, because it's the everywhere also, but this is the reality that we know, and things are getting very expensive. And if we do not share a little bit with them of our success, they will not have good conditions to live, and they will be just mere workers for all their life. That's how I feel.
You've gone through a big change in product design and product, you're choosing the products. Do you feel like that change is almost done, or if not, do you have any new steps in mind?
For the progress in the company,
Yeah, for the whole vision of the company?
I believe so. I I think that we should always be improving in our personal lives, in everything we do, in our companies as well. Okay, uh, we should never be
Satisfied, yeah.
we should never be satisfied. It's not that I'm not appreciated. Of course I am. And when a team is winning, you do not change a team. That's also a good philosophy. But we should always and have always a march to improve. There is always things that we can do better. So definitely, there are things that I definitely want to do better. It's not in like 1 month. It's every day. Every day I always try to do something better. Sometimes I don't have time, okay? Sometimes things get a bit complicated. We have personal life as well, but every day I'm always thinking, and that's the way I work as well. My creativity is always working. I think a lot. I'm always creating in my head. And that way that I am, so I'm always thinking, yeah, to the next step. Yeah. How do I think about changing products? Maybe creating our own products. Okay, we have not started yet because we don't have that time. Too much work. Still need to make that step to make that work, to make that part function. But why not produce our own stuff? Use the part that I have of a creator, of a designer, to start design things, to make some new T-shirts, to make some new stuff. Some of my employees, they mix their own stuff. I don't know if I told you guys before, but maybe it didn't come in. I have at least 2 employees that make their own stuff and we sell at the store. Okay. Some
Earrings.
earrings, small stuff that they start, okay, and we are open to that. And we as well, me as well, I always thinking about that all the time, but I still didn't got the time to get over that part. Getting partners to the company, all that is growing too fast, and sometimes we need to reassure that everything is working to take the other step.
You would also like to sell some Portuguese food
Of course,
if you could.
if I could,
is
yeah.
that in the project, in the cards for the future, maybe?
It's not off because the market it's always changing, as you know, and the challenges makes us look at it. For example, if one day this type of business starts being profitable, or if it stops working, what we will do? Maybe we will change the type of our products. Maybe we will start selling food, selling appetizers, selling good wine, and still working in what we know, the culture, but in a different way, because it's always possible for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
regarding that, you mentioned in our previous talk that you would be open to opening a restaurant. Would you keep the same vision you have for the store, like for example only Portuguese ingredients or Portuguese traditional food?
Yeah, definitely. That was one of my father's biggest dreams, was to have a restaurant, because when he started, he worked at a restaurant, and I think that he will always wanted that. But having a restaurant is a little bit more complicated than, as I told you guys, than just buying a product and selling a product, because when you have a restaurant you have to cook the product, right? That's the part that it's a little bit more complicated. But if that chance comes, or if we think that it's a good idea to change into a restaurant, I would definitely do that. That would be definitely the approach. Maybe what I would change a little bit would be to have more modern options, like vegan options, more healthy options. Okay, but definitely I would try to get everything in Portugal. Try to take it as we already do now. Take less as much as less as we can from the outside of the country. Okay, for 2 reasons: because our products are great. Okay, of course we might need 1 or 2 things. But our products are amazing. We should always use them, and for sure they have success. That's why people look for our country. Um, and yes, I believe I would take that approach. I wouldn't change it much. And the other main reason is because when we take products from other countries, it's not very ecological as well. And it's one of the things
True.
that we are trying with our company, not to use less plastic as we can. It's not easy. It's the biggest challenge you can see in a company, is not use plastic. And to have products, local products, also helps the planet. Okay, and that is also a thing it helps us in our views and in our values.
Go ahead.
Okay. Joanna, as we're looking to wrap this up, we would like just to get some sort of advice for people like us, up and coming, who knows, entrepreneurs,
Okay.
family business managers, and our listeners as well.
Okay.
What advice would you give to young people like us that are looking to be successful in this family business world?
Well, I feel honored with that question. Like with my age, that I have so much, that I have any kind of advice to give to you. Maybe a little bit of experience, okay. But the advice that I would tell, for example, a younger self of me, like you guys, is always believe in what you're doing. If you believe in what you're doing and if you like what you're doing, it will feel right and it will work better. If you're doing it just to make money, you will always be empty. It will bring you nothing. It will bring you no satisfaction. So if you can make a business, and if you can win money, and if you can have a good quality, honored life, decent life, do it with something you like. Do it with something that you believe, in a way that gives you a purpose and makes you feel useful, and makes you feel that you have a good vision for you, for others, and for your world. Okay, if that works out and that gives you money, great. You will be happy making money.
Okay, thank you so much for coming and sharing your experiences. We want to thank Joanna for coming, and thank you, Martin, for being here as well. Hope our listeners have enjoyed it as much as we did. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you guys. Good luck for your project.